Stephen Curry, man. Woo, what a performance. We got a lot to discuss today. We have two teams to say goodbye to. We have two series to predict. So a lot to get into. Before we get into any of it, I just want to say I'm back. The ban is over. I will be live streaming Monday night's games. So make sure you guys come and tune in. Obviously, the streams are going to be a little bit different. Just I don't want to tempt fate. I still don't even know why I got a copyright strike, but I'm just going to change some things up to try and avoid that moving forward. So the streams will be a little bit different looking, but it's still going to be the same vibe. Still going to be a lot of fun. Come and hang out. I'm excited to be back on YouTube. We're still going to do playback streams. Just need to figure out a schedule there. So, yeah, make sure you guys are tuning in. Make sure you guys are subscribed for that. Before we go any further, obviously, we need to commemorate our fallen soldiers. Two teams dropped over the past weekend. Let's talk about them. The Memphis Grizzlies. A little bit funny, I'm not going to lie, right? This is a team that's been poking their chest out, talking shit, right, for 3 years now, and I respect it. It's fun. It does get a little bit annoying, especially considering they've made the playoffs 3 years in a row. 2 of those years they were a top 2 seed, and they have one postseason series win to brag about, and that was against the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team that was basically begging to lose every single game in that series. So I don't know what's next for the Grizzlies. I think, like, this, in theory, could be a good thing. Like, this embarrassment at a national level, because last year you lost to the Warriors, Ja got hurt, okay, whatever, right, we move on. But this year, it's embarrassing. It's a huge embarrassment. And maybe this is just like a grow up, coming to Jesus. Okay, like, let's just, next season, let's put our head down and let's just grind. No talking, no dancing. It's winning only. Dylan Brooks more than likely gone from what it sounds like already. He's already pretty much guaranteed to be gone next season. And I'm interested to see what they do. I have, maybe I'll dive a little bit deeper into this at another point, but I have a theory about young cores that they're very, very overrated. And most of the time, it never really pans out how people expect it to. So, yes, they still have this young core. It's great, this trio of Ja, Desmond Bane, and Jaren Jackson Jr. But at some point, you got to start winning at a high level. And if you don't do that, you need to figure out how you can win at a high level. So I'm very interested to see what they're going to do this offseason. They have pieces. They have trade pieces. I expect them to be very, very aggressive. I'm excited to see how it plays out. But rest in peace, Memphis Grizzlies. It was pretty funny to watch your downfall. I'm just going to be honest. And we also have to say rest in peace to the Sacramento Kings. The feel-good story of the NBA regular season. They lose in round 1 in Game 7 to the Golden State Warriors. As probably the only non-Golden State Warriors fan in the entire United States of America to be rooting for the Warriors in this series, I still feel a little bit sad, right? If you're wondering why I was rooting for the Warriors, they don't call me big market bias for nothing, baby. I was wanting that Warriors and Lakers series. We're going to talk about that series here in a bit. But I was sad for the Kings. And I have some unpopular, maybe harsh opinions about them. Just that, you know, unless they make some big changes in the offseason, which is definitely possible. They have some trade pieces, right? I could see them sort of capitalizing on this and wanting to take it a step further in the offseason. So I'm interested to see how that all plays out. But I think it's a very big risk sort of running this thing back, expecting similar results next season. Because, one, the Western Conference obviously was a huge clusterfuck this past season. You can't really expect that moving forward. And props to the Kings, right? They took advantage of it. They were the most healthy team in the league over the course of the entire season. They took advantage of a weak conference, finished top 3. You know, that's incredible. Broke their playoff drought. And they took the defending champion Warriors to 7 games. I mean, they had them on the brink of extinction. Like, it was great to see. But again, you know, I think that they need a little bit more. And there's a thing that I've been talking about, and I've been talking about this all season, really. Sabonis is just not that dude in the playoffs, man. I know he had a broken hand. I don't really care, because this is just who he is, regardless of whatever injury he was dealing with. This is how he was with Indiana, and it was talked about, oh, well, you know, it's not a great fit. Like, Miles, it's like a weird fit, so he needs like a roster constructed around him better. He goes to Sacramento, fantastic regular season, probably going to finish top 5 in MVP, which I think is an absolute fucking disgrace. I'm sorry. I know that it was great. I know that it was awesome, but the reality is, the regular, like, the MVP, yes, it's a regular season reward, and he was incredible. There's still narratives behind it. And I cannot, in good faith, let Domantas Sabonis be a top 5 MVP candidate. I can't let that happen. I can't let it slide without pushing back. That shit is a disaster. Like, this is a man, not even a calendar year ago, I saw this man get benched in Eurobasket down the stretch of games because it just wasn't his game. And we saw that play out over the course. I mean, he got obliterated by Kevon Looney. Like, I don't know. I'm doing I have a top 100 player rankings. I'm updating it at the end of the postseason. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with Sabonis because I do very much value the postseason players, right? These guys who I know when it's a best of 7 series, they're going to go out and they're going to perform at the level I expect them to perform to, or they're going to exceed that expectation. It's a bonus. I know it's a ginormous drop off. And we saw that play out over the course of the series. You know, Draymond in his podcast after the game said he lost a lot of respect for Sabonis because Sabonis didn't dap him up after the series and just walked off the court. Draymond, get serious for 1 second, please, man. Please get serious for once in your life. What are you expecting Sabonis to do? Walk up to you, hey, Draymond, great series, man. I really liked when you stepped on my chest cavity back in game 2 and tried to murder me. That was sick. Hey, maybe next time we play, you can finish the job. Thanks. Hey, man, good luck the rest of the way, man. Get those stomps in order. Like, what were you expecting there? Of course he's going to walk off, man. Why would he dap you up? But no, I mean, it's hard for me to really put a lot of faith in a team that has Sabonis as a focal point. Like the dribble handoff stuff, like it's cool in the regular season when defenses are different. They're not as physical. But whenever it's a best of 7 series and defenses are going to figure out what exactly it is your weak spot is, and they're going to make you beat them using your weaknesses, that's when it all falls apart. So, the elbow jumpers, man, you got to make those. You got to take and make them. And I'll give Sabonis some pass, because his shooters were horrible in this series. Like Kevin Huerter was terrible. Harrison Barnes was terrible over the course of this series. And if they shoot better, things look a lot better because Sabonis is, his assist numbers are going to be a lot higher. But at a certain point, you're a top 5 MVP candidate, right? You got to take over games. You got to score. You got to force your will. And it just was not there whatsoever. And his stock has plummeted. Not really for me because I knew Sabonis was not a 16-game player whatsoever. So this wasn't that much of a surprise for me. But moving forward, it's just something to keep an eye on. It's a great regular season. It's great regular season stuff. And one thing I'll keep an eye on next season, unless they make some big changes in the offseason, the Kings, is, the Warriors last year against the Mavericks. They pretty much dominated them, right? They won in 5. And they sort of exposed their weaknesses in a major way. Hey, if you crash the glass against the Mavericks, you're going to out-rebound them. Hey, if you relentlessly attack the paint against the Mavericks, you're probably going to score a lot of points because they just don't have the guys to defend. And fast forward to this season, and every team is exploiting that weakness. So I'm interested to see next season if teams look at the tape from the series and say, all right, we want to beat the Kings. We just got to have to force Sabonis to shoot a bunch of mid-range jumpers and just, maybe sag off a little bit. And, hey, if Kevin Huerter is lights out from 3, then so be it. But we're not going to let Sabonis have all these, passing lanes, give them free runs to the basket and shit like that. I'm interested to see how it plays out. The Kings, obviously, a remarkable season. In no way, shape, or form a failure. I've seen people say that. I don't think you can call this a failure. A top 30 seed, you expect them to win in round 1, but this is different. It was their first, for a lot of guys on this team, their first playoff experience, and they're going up against the Warriors. So I don't, it's a great season. Feel good story. But there's some work that needs to be done if they want to take that next step forward. I don't think you could go into the offseason saying, oh, well, we were a top 3 team, so let's run it back. Keegan Murray gets a little more experience under his belt. Let's figure some stuff out. And by the way, Mike Brown, good coach. What the fuck was what were those Terrence Davis minutes? What was going on there? I have no idea. Davion Mitchell did legitimately a pretty good job on Steph Curry throughout this entire series. And then in Game 7, all of a sudden it's, no, we need Terrence Davis minutes. And Davion Mitchell, you're out of here. And Steph drops 50. 50, the most points ever in a Game 7. Steph and Curry, holy hell, man. Jesus Christ. It's great to see Steph reaching these playoff killer moments, like having these playoff killer moments. He's really entering the stratosphere with other major postseason performers like Luka Doncic. So shout out to Steph Curry for all of that. But there was this argument going around, this discussion going around where it was like, is this the best Steph Curry's ever been? And whenever you hear that, you're like, no, of course not. He's a 2-time MVP, the first ever unanimous MVP in NBA history. But then you watch him and it's like, I think this is the best Steph Curry's ever been, only because he has more killer, he has more fuck you in his game than ever before. Not to say that he hasn't had moments like this or he never had big moments in the playoffs, but there was sort of a reputation that followed him where it was like, yeah, big games, sometimes Steph Curry can shrivel up a little tiny bit or at least not perform up to the level you expect him to perform to. But now it's like, I feel like Steph's going to come alive in those big moments. Like, that's never even a debate for me anymore. I feel like Steph's going to show up. I feel like Steph's going to do great things when the lights are on and his team needs him the most. And in Game 7, he came out and was just like, either get the fuck on my back or get out of the way. Like, I'm carrying us to a win. I'm shooting the ball 40 times damn near. And, if we lose that way, we lose that way. Cool. And they won, and he was incredible. He's talking shit. When Steph talks shit, I do like it. I love there was the camera comment saying, yo, they're not ready for this shit. Woo! Damn. All right, let's get into predicting the next two series. The Sixers and Celtics. This series starts tonight, and Joel Embiid's injury status very, very much up in the air. Like, I don't really know what's going on. There's some updates and rumors going around that this is like a grade 2 MCL sprain, which is typically a 4 to 6 week recovery period. And that makes things very alarming for me. Doc Rivers already said he feels like Embiid is doubtful for game 1. This is just sad. It really is. I was probably higher on the Sixers than most other people. They swept the Nets, and that's great. I didn't think they looked particularly great in that series. The Nets, in retrospect, just looking at every team, were probably the weakest playoff team that we had this season, and the Sixers just kind of struggled to put them away pretty much every single game they played. Now you're without Embiid, or even if you have Embiid, you're going to have him at, not 100%. I just don't see a way in which the Sixers win this series. It would have been tough regardless, but God, it's sad with Embiid, really, because he's just an unreliable guy in the playoffs. Like, that's just who he is. It's time to accept that. Sixers fans will always go to bat for him. They'll always defend him by saying, no, they're freak injuries. Like, you can't call him injury prone in the playoffs. They're always like these freak. No, man, he's not readily available in the postseason. Freak injury or not, man, he's just not a reliable player come postseason time, and we're seeing that play out once again. He's going to be 28, 29. He's going to be 30 soon. He's been in the league damn near a decade at this point. It's like at some point, this guy finished a postseason series? Like, has he finished a postseason run healthy? Like, at the end of the postseason, was there ever a time for the Sixers where it was like, well, but Embiid had this going on? Like, yeah, they lost in embarrassing fashion, but Embiid, like, his knee was kind of fucked up. Like, he's just not a reliable player at this point. And Harden looked like ass in that series against the Nets. They have had a whole week off, so that makes me feel a little bit better about the Sixers. But at the same time, man, I would have had a hard time picking them to beat the Celtics, even if healthy, because it feels like the Celtics just dominate this matchup every single time. I'm going to go Celtics in 5. Like, that's just my prediction. It's unfortunate that injuries took away what was one of the more anticipated series for a long time. Like, this was a clear and obvious second-round matchup for months, it felt like. And it's just unfortunate to see Embiid's injury status just kind of suck a lot of the fun out of the series. I am going Celtics in 5. Maybe 6, but I'll go 5. But, like, my safe side says 6 because the Celtics, they're not a perfect team by any stretch of the imagination. And they're going to have a game or two where you're like, what the hell are they doing out there? And with the team with Embiid, assuming he plays some, Harden, like, they'll take advantage of that. But ultimately, I just don't think it's enough. I'll go Celtics in 5. And then the Lakers and Warriors. I wanted this matchup. I'm so happy we have this matchup. Steph Curry, LeBron James. I know they're older. Steph's like still in his prime damn near. LeBron definitely out of his prime. And I'm a little bit, I'll talk about why I'm a little bit concerned about him here in a second. But just these two coming together again, always fun to watch. Lakers, Warriors, probably the two biggest and most popular teams in the league at this moment, squaring off in the playoffs. These games are going to do numbers. This is going to be an incredibly toxic series. I am so excited for it. And this is a coin toss series for me. I don't know the betting odds. I don't know who's favored in this series. I would have to assume the Warriors just because they are Golden State and they will have home court advantage over the course of the series. But I just don't know, man. This is going to be juicy. See, for the Lakers, they beat the Grizzlies in 6, right? And they looked pretty convincing in doing so. And that was probably the best defense in the postseason, the Grizzlies, right? They're a very good half-court defense, and the Lakers took care of business against them. And I think that for them, defensively, that's their biggest test. But the Warriors, you just got to throw everything out the window. Like, they're going to figure out how to beat you. They're going to attack you. They're going to figure out your weaknesses. They're going to exploit them. And you're going to have to really rely on Anthony Davis being the best player in this series. Like, if you're the Lakers and you want to win, at the end of it, AD had to be the best player. He had to outplay Steph Curry. He's capable of doing that. I think this is a little bit of an easier matchup, but part of me is a little bit concerned because Looney, he plays physical as shit. Draymond will play physical as shit. And we've seen AD at times, sort of succumb to that. Like, even if it's subconsciously where it's AD stops attacking and he's settling a little bit more and more because he doesn't want to deal with the physicality of that for a full 48 minutes. That concerns me a little bit. And LeBron is just, I'm worried about him health-wise. He's clearly not 100%. And for the Lakers, I think they need him to be not 100%, but they need him to be great in this series. And I think he'll be good. Like don't ever want to bet against LeBron James, but like he just doesn't. It doesn't look right for him. And I don't know if it was against the Grizzlies. He just knew he didn't have to be that. Like, Austin Reeves had some great moments. D'Lo had some great moments. The role guys stepped up in a big way. So LeBron just knew he didn't really need to reach that extra level in order for them to win. So he's just kind of conserving some energy. I have no idea. But that concerns me for this team. And they're going to need, D'Lo had a great game 6 against the Grizzlies. They're going to need him to play consistently well. They're going to need Reeves to play great. They're going to need role guys like Rui to play great. They're going to need Vando to do some things because he's going to be playing a lot in the series. And the Warriors, this is so cliche to say, but this series really is going to come down to the role players. Which team's role guys step up, hit threes, make shots, defend well, rebound well, stay out of foul trouble. And damn, is it like I don't want to bet against Steph. I don't ever want to bet against the Warriors. I'm going to go Warriors in 6. Like part of me feels like this series might not be as close as people are saying, only because the physicality aspect of it scares me for AD. It really, really does. Not to say like, Jaren Jackson Jr. or Xavier Tillman, they did a good job. Like they're great defenders in their own right, but the Warriors come with a little bit more physicality, and that does concern me for AD. I would like to be wrong. I think seeing LeBron and this Lakers team make a run, again, big market bias. I think that would be fun. And that's kind of deep down what I'm rooting for. How many times? We've seen enough of the Warriors, right? We've seen them win a trillion fucking times. I know we've seen LeBron win a trillion times, but I would rather watch him win again than the Warriors win again. But I just don't know if it's going to happen. I really don't. You're banking on a lot. You're banking on AD being better than Steph over the course of a series. And you're banking on your role guys really stepping up. And, you got to win one in Golden State. And that's a really tough place to play. The Kings did it. So props to the Kings did it with their backs against the wall. That was a really impressive win. But I'm very excited for this. I don't think there's any way this goes less than 6, only because if it looks like it's trending that direction, you think for a second that Adam Silver and the NBA won't be like, hey, guys, this is the 2 biggest markets in the league right now. These are the 2 biggest superstars this game's ever seen. Let's go ahead and let's extend this series out a little bit, okay? I'll be back to streaming on YouTube tonight. Make sure you guys come and hang out, okay? Goodbye.